Hello and welcome to First Post Gameplan. We have with us Cricketwallah to discuss what is a very exciting and possibly one of my favorite one-day international matches.
Gina, I'm still frazzled. The kind of run chase, it was sensational.
Absolutely.
Just to kind of tell you what my impressions were, and you obviously are also of the same, sentiment.
Yes.
350 to chase is never easy. 300 has become the new normal in ODI cricket, but 350 is not the new normal still. And if you do a kind of an audit, there'll be pros and cons, and there'll be, played at home. India's playing at home, so obviously they are expected to do well. They've got the psychological advantage over England, having beaten them 4-0 in the Test series. True, but the ground is small, the pitch is true. All those factors, yes, but the fact remains. 350 was on the board. England had batted exceptionally well, and they've been a team on the upsurge in ODI cricket in the last 18 months, ever since their fiasco in the World Cup 2015. In the warm-up matches, we saw how good they can be. And then look at India's precarious position, 63 for 4, to come from there. And I think it's, both these batsmen, Virat Kohli and Kedar Jadhav, to bat the way they did was fantastic. It showed, it was like a guts and glory approach. I suppose that in a situation like that, in a limited overs match, you can't afford to work your way out of a situation with stealth. You have to have a guts and glory approach when you're in such a dire situation. And they carried it off brilliantly. And Kedar Jadhav was the trigger, because he came in at a time when, you were virtually written off. So he, with the kind of impetus he showed, the aggression he showed and the impetus he gave, he made sure that the run rate never mounted. In fact, it was always under check. But for me, Kedar deserves every accolade. For me, the guy who had me transfixed was Virat Kohli.
You and everyone else in this country.
First match as official captain. He's captained earlier. He's been Test captain. As a batsman under scrutiny, as a captain under scrutiny, is it going to affect his batting? Is this responsibility going to change his approach? All kinds of questions. And I think he's answered all of them in one evening's cricket and come out with flying colours. Absolutely marvellous, transfixed. And some of those strokes, and everybody's been talking about that six of the back foot, which was, hitting it through the line. You can't even define it. It's best that you see it, and it's available everywhere now on YouTube and everywhere else. So I would urge people who are watching this to watch it on, as a visual thing.
With Kohli, I think one thing that really struck me is the intent. Now, he's never shied away from showing his emotions on field, but that positive intent with which he walks. We spoke about the body language, etc.
Yeah.
It sort of inspired, I'm sure it inspired Kedar Jadhav, who is, well, not in age, but in cricket years, he's still, it's his 13th one-day match.
Correct.
So it's just that the way he sort of oozes this confidence, that no target is too...
Absolutely right, Gina. I think it's the body language of Virat Kohli. He sees, Kohli, Yuvraj get out and Dhoni, and you would think that the shoulders might just drop a little. In fact, not. Kedar Jadhav comes in and Kedar starts playing strokes. It's not that Kohli is telling him, calm down, don't do this, maybe whatever instructions he gave him. But there never was a second where one felt that he does not believe he can win it still. That's what is marvellous about Virat Kohli. And I think that positive intent that you talk about, the strong body language. I was just watching a video which BCCI TV has put out of Nasir Hussain, the former England captain, interviewing him. Right. And it's more about technique. But to me, that interview is fascinating, and that's again a must watch for everybody. It's also about self-actualization as a player, as a cricketer, as a persona, as a captain and as a batsman. He just thinks up possibilities. There is no moment where you feel it's a lost cause. And that takes a very strong mindset. It takes a very strong, somebody who, ultimately this innings that he played and India's victory is about your imagination is not restricted by saying, I don't think we can win this, let's try and win the next two. We can win this. We may be 63 for 4, but we can still win it.
That confident approach, that sort of... and in the process, he scored his 27th one-day international century. Now, I did a bit of number crunching and, not to compare great players, but it is in his 169th innings that he got his 27. The legend, Sachin Tendulkar, took about 264. Sana Jayasuriya took about 400. Ricky Ponting, 300.
Yes.
So, while I know one day, the cricket has changed a lot with T20 and IPL and whatnot, these numbers sort of tell you that we are watching a once in a generation batsman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sometimes stats can be, completely misleading. The lies, damn lies, and statistics, as Mark Twain has told us. But sometimes they give you a perspective. They give you a frame of reference, like you mentioned. Such a number of innings he took for his 2700s, Ponting, and you're talking of all-time great batsmen. And this guy scores so favorably. It shows a level of consistency which is mind-boggling. Consistency in making hundreds, not consistency in
not
scoring
just
runs.
batting and runs.
Yeah, and an average of 50 plus, and he's not just started his career. He's not played 14, 15 innings, and therefore the average can be very high. Him, even Dhoni, for instance, batting average of 50 is fantastic. And Kohli is, I think, also one has to, the way he finishes. He's now he's the best finisher and the run chaser in the world. How he thinks and measures out what is to be done is really the clue to his genius. It's very difficult to highlight, pinpoint, and logically describe it, but that's really what it is about his batting. That he sizes up a situation and maps out his innings accordingly.
I think it was a bit on display yesterday when his wicket went out. It was a combination of various factors. The innings was slowing down a bit. He went for the shot. However, he went and sort of instructed Jadhav about something. Similarly, when Jadhav got out, he told Pandya something. It was like passing of the baton.
Yes.
And we saw how that ended. 2 massive sixes from Pandya and Ashwin to cap a stylish run chase in style.
No, and the significance of this win, apart from the fact that it's a fabulous, one of the finest wins that India has had, one of the finest run chases, and 2 of the finest hundreds you can see. And I've seen a lot. I've seen Kapil Dev make 175 not out live. But I'm not comparing it with that. I'm just saying that these 2 innings were amongst the finest. What it has done is, apart from giving India a 1-0 lead, it's put England under a lot of pressure. It's a 3-match series. You lose the next, you've lost the series. And so this is going to hurt in England mentally, psychologically, because 350, 7.5, 8 cases out of 10 you would expect to win, especially when you got the runs on the board. Now you wonder whether 400 is enough.
Oh, that is I think with the kind of batsman India has, everybody's wondering now, what is enough? What can they not chase?
Yeah.
In fact, talking about England, I thought the batsmen did really well to get there.
Very well.
Root was a bit of an anchor. Your Jason Roy, who's literally come into his own in the limited overs format. Stokes then with that end assault. So they did perform well as a unit.
What they've got right, you highlight. So they've got the guy who goes out is an aggressor from the beginning, from Jason Roy, or Alex Hales. You've got Root, who's the fulcrum or the pivot, and then you've got a great finisher in Ben Stokes. That's what ideally a team wants,
right?
And which every team wants, but it's in the execution that is the issue. Like for instance, in India's run chase, the openers couldn't click, and also you would have thought that either Yuvraj or Dhoni would be perhaps like the pivot or Kohli himself. But it didn't happen. So it took 2 extraordinary innings to keep or revive India's, what looked like a gone case or a lost cause to take them to victory. But England have got a lot of batting muscle. They have kept Sam Billings out.
The one who won them the practice games.
But where do you fit him in? But I think they were perhaps also let down by somebody like Adil Rashid. It was not a pitch for bowlers. Even Ashwin went for a lot of runs. But I think the hammering. And remember, Adil Rashid got a lot of wickets in the test at high cost, but he got a lot of wickets. I think that seems to have kind of left them, both him and Moeen, a little flummoxed as to how to bowl to the Indian batsmen. They bowled, at least Adil bowled very short, a lot of long hops, and gave away some easy runs. I don't think it would have altered the result of the match, but the pressure seemed to kind of disappear every time he came on to bowl.
So would you say, this absorption of pressure is what sets the 2 teams apart? Because with the Indian team, what I'm noticing is they're really not, their approach is still positive even when it looks like things are difficult. And it's not just in this match, but even in the test series, we did see to an extent that Indians are taking the pressure much better. I
think India on a roll. They're taking and I must put the caveat, we've seen them play all at home. So that apart, I think they're on a roll. No situation seems too daunting. Somebody or the other comes up and plays either a great knock or takes crucial wickets or a great catch. I mean, there have been fielding errors in the series against England in the test matches, but overall 4-0 result tells you how dominant India were. So India on a roll, they are finding the players, the opportunities, they're putting pressure on the opponents, and they're coming up trumps. Ultimately, the job in sport is to go out and win, and they're doing it marvelously. And I think it's the red hot form of certain players. In the test it was Kohli and obviously Ashwin. Those were the two strongest. In the ODIs you'll see a lot more of them, coming into their own, like we saw Hardik Pandya yesterday, or Kedar Jadhav,
Jadeja to an extent.
Jadeja to an extent. But I think really it's all stemming from the top, which is Kohli. His
leading from the front.
Yeah, the cricketing persona has become powerful, is very contagious, his sense of self-belief and his desire to win.
And that marks for a very exciting new period in India's limited over cricket.
Absolutely.
With Kohli, the captain courageous, as people are calling him, from captain cool to captain courageous.
Yes.
But while we're on this, we need to talk about one other captain that I really want to talk about.
Yes.
That is the Bangladesh versus New Zealand match. Now,
Kane Williamson.
I have been saying it, like people have been watching would know, ever since New Zealand came to India, I have been saying Kane Williamson will turn around, will turn the corner. Hopefully this is the...
Kane Williamson started his test career with a century
in
India. So it's not that...
the hope wasn't unfounded.
No, I think, look, he's a fantastic batsman. He's a very high quality batsman. We are... Kohli is more ebullient, more effervescent in that sense as a personality, and he's got some, extraordinary achievements in the last 18-20 months to his name. Maybe in those situations, and the chances that if it comes about his way, we'll have to wait and see how Williamson performs. But the comparison between the two is fair up to a point and not fair after a point. So I don't think there's much dispute today, currently, that across formats, Kohli is not just a nose ahead, but maybe a head ahead, a neck ahead. But Williamson is a high quality batsman, and not just in Test cricket.
Right.
He's shown his class even in ODIs. He's also a T20 player for his team. He's obviously playing in all formats. But the real virtues or the real quality of his batsmanship for me finds most resonance in the 5-day game. But in this match, remember, not just this year, this was a race against time. Yeah. This was an innings where he scored at more than run a ball to win the match. Bangladesh losing after making 595.
Yes, it's well.
And he's not hit 8 sixes and 12 fours.
They were proper cricketing shots. Most
Fantastic.
of them. It sort of shows, and you had Ross Taylor coming to the party as well. So. What it's given us an exciting test match. Now we've got to feel for Bangladesh from 595 to losing the captain to an injury.
But look at what's been happening. England lost twice after making 400 by an innings against India. We've seen Pakistan losing after scoring 443, I think, against Australia recently in a match. So it's something is happening. And it is becoming a third innings kind of a jinx or a curse for teams which score 400, and then in the second innings they just collapse.
Absolutely.
Something
I
think needs to be understood, the phenomenon.
The question is now, what is a good target anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Be it limited overs, be it Test cricket, you'd expect like 595. In fact, in domestic cricket, in the Ranji matches also, you've seen how targets are all...
I must, and since you brought up the Ranji Trophy, I think we must acknowledge and applaud the effort by Gujarat. What a fantastic... Parthiv Patel...
Another race against time, while we were talking...
Another guts and glory effort.
Absolutely.
90 and 140 something, 130 odd. And it is not a one-man show. There was Panchal who made a lot of runs, there was Gehlot who made a lot of runs, RP Singh, as the cliche goes, the old war horse who came and made his contributions really meaningful.
Without Jasprit Bumrah in this match.
And I think the important thing to consider is, look, Mumbai were without some of their stars, and also, it's been a terrific Ranji season, but beating Mumbai is never easy.
In the final, no.
Or anywhere, because Mumbai is so used to winning. There's a psychological kind of hurdle for most teams when they play Mumbai. Especially for Gujarat, their first, after 51, they're in the Ranji final. They've never won the Ranji Trophy earlier. So this was a monumental effort by Gujarat. And let's also look at, this has been a season flush with young talent coming to the fore. There's Prithvi Shaw, there's Panchal, there's Rishabh Pant, and it shows how Indian cricket is really rich. But it's also the season for a Parthiv Patel or an Abhishek Nair,
even
or an RP Singh. These guys, and these to me are the life and blood of domestic cricket. You know, they may not get too much recognition because they're not playing for India, but they keep, because of their level, at the level at which they perform, they've actually made Indian cricket stronger.
Absolutely. I think with the kind of domestic season we had, it is it's mind-blowing that to think that no wonder that A team and your international team are doing so well. It's sort of become like an assembly line of really good talented players in India, of course. And while they tour abroad, we'll know how it goes.
Yes.
But if you're a cricket fan, there is no better time than right now to be watching the Indian team. And we will be back with Cricketwallah while the next match is on Thursday.
Yes,
so now,
we will.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.